Put it on. Screw.
They do everything for clout. They do anything for clout. Okay, DJ Son, listen, that song dropped at a beautiful time in life.
It did.
It did, because, you know, a lot of things been going on. I'm not going to say anything because this is not the topic for today.
Listen, okay? Everybody does everything for clout.
You know what? You could do things for credibility. Some people do it for credibility. Some people do it for clout. There's a difference.
Hey.
Right? Am I right?
They own.
Okay. All right. We're not going to go into that. Listen, it's the Rundown with your girl, Rocky B. If you're just tuning in each and every Monday from 4 to 6 right here, 100.9 FM, WXIR. And my next guest. Okay. Before I introduce my next guest, some of you may or may not know, because I didn't know. I'm going to say this. I didn't know the month of April is Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yes.
I had no idea. So my next guest, LAKEISHA Smith. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You are the founder of the Inspired By movement?
Yes.
Can you tell us about Inspired By?
Inspired By is for positivity. To push positivity in the world, to be the reflection that you want to see. So we can always do negative stuff. That's easy. But how do we reflect what we want to see? How do we be that? So Inspired By just came about with me really thinking about what the things that I like to do, what I like to see, and how do they inspire me?
Right.
And how can I use that to inspire other people?
Right.
So I like positive branding. I like to turn negatives into positive and give a different perspective, because that's all we see is the negative.
Right.
So how can I be more to this world than what we see every day, basically?
So you take the negative and turn it into positive.
Absolutely.
So one of the negatives in your life, you were actually a victim of child abuse, correct?
Yes, correct.
So how has that shaped the person you are today?
A lot. It changes you, but it also helps you grow. It helps you become better than what that circumstance probably will allow most people to become. So, and it happened to me by someone very close to me.
That's usually how it.
Absolutely.
Isn't that usually, like, statistics is usually someone that's pretty close to you?
Yep. It's 90% of perpetrators are people that this world does this to people. So it could be father, mother, pastor, close friend.
Right.
90% of the perpetrators are known.
Right.
Basically.
So when you went through this in your past, did you know at the time that this wasn't right or something was wrong?
You know it's not right, but you don't know how to say anything about it.
Right.
You don't know how to approach it. You don't know who to go to because you're fearful. Because the person that, especially if it's someone that you know, in my case it was my dad, you don't want to go to your parent, your mom, and be like, you know, this is happening. Or you just don't think about it because you're so young.
Right. And
it doesn't come reality more so until you become an adult and you start dealing with the effects from it.
Okay.
But even in that case, that's even kind of, as a child, that's confusing, especially somebody that you came from.
Yes.
So that's even hard to even be like, is something wrong here?
Yeah, because
that's
you
your
trust
parent.
that person.
You trust that person.
Yeah, you trust that person.
You super trust that person.
Yeah, that's supposed to be
your protector.
Who you go to for whatever's wrong. And that was happening to me. We lived in Chatham Gardens at the time.
And so, how old were you?
I was still in elementary, so it was about, I'm like 9 years old.
9? Okay.
Yep.
And when did you get the courage? Was it recently that you got the courage to actually speak out about this?
It
or
was actually, I was dating this guy, and we got into an argument. And I had confided in him previously about it. So he decided to go and tell my mom. I had never told her. And he went and told her what happened.
So that was a blessing in disguise.
It was absolutely a blessing in disguise.
Because sometimes you go through things like that and don't even know.
You don't know why, but at that time it was like, why would you do that?
And even reacting to people that sometimes you start reacting a certain way and everybody's trying to figure out, why are you so angry?
Yeah, you do go through that through life. You don't know why you're going through these emotions until you really sit down and figure out and go through therapy or whatever it may need to be that you need to go through to get through it. And when he told my mom that, like you said, it was definitely a blessing because it helped me to bring it to the forefront, to get it off my chest and to do the things that I've done and doing now.
Okay. Ooh, okay, that's a lot. Okay, so the guy you were dating, after an argument, told your mom. How did your mom react? Was she supportive? Did she not believe you? Because sometimes you hear like the mom turns on the daughter.
My mom, she asked me, was it true? And at that time, you're like, what do you mean, is it true? You know what I mean? I think she probably was taken aback by it because she really could not believe that would occur. And so before, me and my mom didn't really have much of a close relationship. But I think I harbored anger because she didn't know, and I can't blame her for not knowing. But once that was out, we became closer, you know, talking and expressing how I felt. So yeah, so definitely there was anger harbored towards her from me because I felt like she should have known, but she didn't. She was out working while my dad was home, supposedly, you know, watching. But you know.
So how was the relationship? How's the relationship with you and your dad?
He's not alive anymore.
He's not alive. Okay.
It's interesting because before he died, my brother and I went down to Florida because he asked to see us, and we hadn't seen him in years. Like, just was MIA.
He was trying to clear his conscience.
And even on his deathbed, like prior to talking to him before going down there, he still was kind of denying it. Yeah, but it is a clear your conscience moment because you know that you're getting ready to meet your maker or you're going to hell. Right. One of the two. And so he really truly believed that he, you know, his relationship with God was solid. I can't change how a person has that relationship with their maker. Nobody can judge that. You know what I mean? So that's between him and God. But did I forgive? Yeah. I forgave even before I went down there because forgiveness is more for the person.
And it's part of healing too.
It is, because if you don't, you're going to harbor that anger and you're not going to be who you should be in life. Right. You're going to carry that with you all the time. Right. All the time if you don't forgive.
But that's easier said than done, though.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Everybody's journey is different.
Right.
Everybody cannot say, oh, well, I forgive you. You got to walk that path. Right. Until to where you want to be.
So when did you forgive? Did you forgive when your mate at the time told your mom and you were able to heal from
time.
It?
It took time. Okay. Yeah, it took time.
So you were still grieving. You still were in the grieving process during that
Absolutely.
time.
Going through some counseling. I stopped counseling for a while because when you go to counseling, it's like you're open book. You're sitting there talking to somebody that you don't know if they really care or not. You don't know. They're just there. You can feel like for the money, and that's how I felt.
It's like building a relationship.
You got to, exactly. You have to be comfortable. And so I stopped because I wasn't comfortable. Then I went back because it's truly something that you need. Everybody's different. Some people say they don't feel comfortable talking to people.
It's good though.
You have to.
Yeah.
Right. You have to. You have to let it out. You have to.
Right. So how has it affected your romantic relationships with men?
Trust can be an issue. Trust definitely can be an issue, but I'm a person, I believe I love hard, so it's like it's either we're in it or we're not, and you have to get to really trust that person if you're gonna be in a relationship. Am I in a relationship now? No, not because of that, but it does affect it, and you have to have a strong person beside you that understands, you know, those things that you've gone through and who are willing to work with you. So
well, that was a lot for the opening.
Nah, but the thing about it too is, because there's more people going through it than what we would think, especially within our community.
Right.
So it's like, and then that's the other thing is the healing part, because then what happened is that it gets passed down and keep getting passed down and keep getting passed down, because who knows? I'm not even trying to make an excuse for him because I don't know your father, but he probably went through the same exact thing. Why he's pushing it off on.
Yeah.
You know, the closest person to him, which is his kids.
Yeah.
You know, so the healing part of it is better to heal before you even have kids. That, you know, let's say somebody does that to your kid, now you react in a crazy way that you kill somebody, and then they like, oh, well, she's here because she killed somebody. They don't even understand why it happened, but it happened. So now that everybody knows the situation, well, not everybody, but your mother, you know, once your mother, which is the most important part, knows the situation now, so she knows why you guys' relationship was probably where it is. Now the grieving part starts that you guys start to build your relationship, and now you guys are, you know, getting to where you're getting.
Absolutely. And when you say everybody probably doesn't know, I did a documentary in 2010, and I had the like I was going back and forth with myself whether I should release it publicly or not, because it's a very serious subject, and you don't know how people take it. But I just like prayed on it and asked God to guide me in which direction should I just release it out. And I did release it here, actually at RCTV 15, publicly. And so I kind of went from there with it.
So what was the feedback?
I got positive feedback.
Okay.
And it's interesting because people that you are surrounded by,
you
don't know that they've gone through the same thing. Because everybody keeps it a secret. It's like that
Why
family
do we do
secret.
that? Why do we keep
Because people are scared of how other people are going to look at them, and sometimes people think that somebody's going to like, nah, that didn't happen, stop lying. And then it becomes the embarrassment. Now you feel lower than what you already felt that somebody made you feel.
Yeah. And then I think especially with black families, we always tend to like to keep our business to ourselves. And
let's pray on it.
Let's not let everybody know what's going on. But that's detrimental to our community and to our families, because you can't keep something like that inside. You have to let people know what's going on, and you have to realize and recognize what's going on with your children. Sometimes we don't pay attention.
We don't. And I was going to touch on that because in your video, your PSA, I think your campaign video.
Yes.
Where the young girl is being touched by a family friend. And the parents are dancing, having a good time.
Absolutely. And
she is sitting there sulking.
She's afraid right then and there. The family friend is sitting there and she knows it's happening. And then when he leaves, she runs out, but the parents are at the door. And she runs to her room, then
looks in the room, sees
the flashbacks from the bed, the covers start, getting to her. But then she goes back to tell her parents, and she sees that they're pretty much enjoying themselves, and she doesn't want to disrupt that.
So can you relate to that young girl? Is that coming from a place of like experience? Are you putting yourself in her shoes?
I am putting myself in her shoes in the sense of wanting to say something and being afraid. But I'm also looking at it from a different standpoint, because it came to me, this idea actually for the PSA came to me after watching the R. Kelly documentary. And I'm not going to judge people on whether or not they still listen to him, or that's to each its own. But it's something that everybody has jammed to R. Kelly, me myself included,
right?
CDs and everything, But when you look at what he's doing to children, like grown women, that's on y'all. You got that. You're grown. You do what you want to do. But a child, you are a grown man, and so you know the difference on what you should and shouldn't be doing. And perhaps it has happened to him, but you don't take that and push it off on do the same thing to a child. So that's why that inspired me to say, you know what, we need to really keep talking about this. Because some people will say, well, those girls are fast. I don't care how fast you think a teenager, a 10, 12, 11-year-old girl is. That's ridiculous. This is a grown man, 25, whatever age he is. You cannot do that, period. And so I wanted to bring more awareness to it, because people will say, well, it's been going on for years. Yeah, but when you know better, you do better.
Right.
Period. That's it. And so
that's the thing, is a behavior.
Yeah, we have to start talking about it. We have to start bringing it more to the forefront, or else it's going to continue to happen every day. Right now it's probably happening.
Right.
But nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to brush it under the rug like, it's just another thing. But you have to start saying something, doing something, and being aware so that you can help prevent it.
Ooh. Okay, that is LAKEISHA Smith, man. We got more with LAKEISHA when we get back. Is a rundown with your girl Rocky B. Stay locked in. Girl Rocky B each and every Monday right here from 4 to 6 on 100.9 FM. If you didn't know, now you know. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and I have my girl LAKEISHA Smith in the building. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, yes. So LAKEISHA, you are, I just hate saying this. So you've been a victim of child.
Yeah, I'm a survivor.
You're a survivor.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. You're not a victim, you're a survivor.
Absolutely.
You're a survivor. Now, this is, I wanted to ask a question, but I didn't know how to articulate it without you, because this is a very sensitive topic. And, a lot of people, I'm a segue into it. A lot of people think, like, mental illnesses like depression and anxiety is a choice, right? A lot of people think that's a choice, right? A lot of people some people think it's a choice. Like, you can choose to be depressed. You can change your mental state and choose to be depressed. Now, the traumatic, how can I segue into this? The trauma that we go through, or how can I do this? The trauma you go through.
Just say it.
Going through sexual abuse as a child, that trauma, is that a choice? Can you just forget about it? Bury it deep down in your psyche and just forget about it?
I think anybody who says that is lying. There's no way that you can just, shove it down and be like, I'm not even going to think about this. Right. Because there's going to be something that's going to remind you. Right. There's something that's going to bring it back to your mind, and that you can visualize and see. So
what are some things that have triggered that memory for you?
For me?
Yes.
Loneliness. Kind of being alone. Being secluded. Really not having anyone to talk to. Like, I'm a visual person.
Right.
So sometimes I could see those things occurring, like reoccurring, like the acts that happen.
So it's still very vivid in your memory.
Oh yeah, they're vivid
because
moments.
some people most people probably won't recollect that happening at such a young age. Like, I think this is what happened, or I'm not sure, because I think, have there been cases where I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, where some kids will say they've been abused, but they can't recollect, or can't remember what happened. I think this happened. I'm not sure. Yeah, but this is very. But yeah, it's in the forefront.
But yeah, you can remember. There's some that it depends on the person. Right. That's what I think. And for me, I remember like actual things that occurred, like actual words that were said. Like, I can visualize the room, I can visualize the bed, I can visualize the act and the after effect of that act. Right. I can, and it's just this one particular thing where he was like, it was on top of me, trying to penetrate. Then he says to me, go and wipe your cootie cat. That's as real as it gets afterwards. So I remember that. I remember the bed was like green. So those little things you do remember. You remember like specific details. I do, yeah.
So do you regret not confronting your father earlier on? Because he passed. So do you regret not confronting him?
He was confronted about it, as far as not like face to face, because he wasn't in Rochester, like over the phone, but he denied it. So
what would you have done differently? What would you have told your younger self? What would you have done differently during that time?
What would I have told my younger self? That's a good question. If I had the courage when I was younger to really express the way I felt, to really blast it, screaming out loud, to let people know what was going on. But I don't know if I could say back to my younger self, because unfortunately and fortunately, I think things happen for a reason. Okay. In life.
And what do you think this reason is for you?
To actually be part of the movement of bringing awareness and being a voice to talk about it, to give people power to speak on it, even if it's children right now, especially children, because I think they're the most vulnerable, especially in the Black community, because there are organizations out there, and even in our school district, because I also substitute teach, and you don't have like outlets to say this is occurring, or you don't have people in those positions to be like, we need to help these children. Right. Like, I'm not going to even mention it, but there are organizations around, but you don't see them prevalent in the city, do you?
As well as in the schools.
Or in the school, that's what I mean.
That's the thing about inner city schools. Inner city schools missing a lot of different programs, nurse. Like, certain people can't see it. Like, for example, if you have never been through that, you can't see it for yourself. You can't figure out, okay, this child is going through something, or this is what's happening, So as a person that's seen it, you could look at it and be like, okay, I know why this kid is acting out.
Right.
Because right away they're ready to give that kid medication.
Or there's no resources for them to say, right. Well, let's give this child, let's put him here or there.
Right.
It's like, people don't care.
So as someone that's been through this, what would you tell a parent? What are some signs that you would have a parent look out for as a red flag that something is happening with your kid?
Erratic behavior, changing the way they've eaten, their eating habits, they're wet in the bed, things of that nature. They're real angry all the time, or they pull back, they're secluded. They might, be apprehensive around certain people. Things of that nature. Yeah.
Whew. Wow, this is
and it's sometimes even when you feel like your child.
Yeah.
You got to have conversations. Kids are smarter than you think they are.
That's the biggest thing.
Kids are smarter than you think they are. You'll be surprised some of the conversations you hear from children. But as a parent, you're able to guide them into have an open conversation with them about what's going on in their life and who's around and what people are doing.
Make them feel safe to really talk to you.
Absolutely.
That's what I do with my 9-year-old.
You have to, because if not, they're gonna keep it. They're kids. Kids hide stuff,
right?
So you have to be able to have those conversations with them and be open about it.
So what would you tell a kid that is currently going through this?
If a kid is listening, I definitely will tell them to be courageous. Be strong about it. Go to somebody that you do truly trust. And let them know what's going on, and keep persisting and saying that this is happening and I need you to do something about it. And if that person doesn't believe you, continue to go on to find somebody that does, because you can't continue to be a victim to someone who doesn't care, who's an abuser, who's a perpetrator and feels comfortable doing these things to you. You have to, be courageous. And it's hard for a child to do that, but if they hear somebody telling them that and pushing them forward, I think, that'll help.
How did you even get to this point where you were able to freely speak about this?
By the grace of God. By the grace of God. Because I don't know any other way. Because like I said, when I did the documentary, I was like scared to put it out there. But I just prayed on it, and I had a high school friend that I went to high school with that told me it happened. Actually, 2 high school friends that told me that happened to them. I had no clue. Another person told me. So it was, people were just coming out and saying that, this had occurred to them too. But everybody gets comfortable living or going day to day and not dealing with stuff that has happened to them in the past.
Right.
And whether they're really comfortable living or they're just dealing with it and brushing it off and being like, this is my life and it is what it is. Yeah. And it's not. You figure out why certain things are the way they are because of things that happened to you. So, yeah.
Ooh, I think I need to go talk about things in my past. Because a lot of black people frown on therapy. We don't really, we don't go like you said, Stunt, we pray on it. Yeah. Just pray on it, or talk to your peers.
Go see the pastor.
Yeah, go see the pastor. But I think it's something that we all need to, because if we do this, talk to someone that's unbiased and has an unbiased opinion, you get to actually realize why you are the way you are.
Especially they have that training. Listen, it's all. I always say therapy is real good. Just like going to the spa is good. You go to the spa to relax and get things off your mind. You go to a therapist to let them know about certain things that you got going on. They're going to listen. Yeah. They're going to let you talk.
That they will. You just have to be comfortable talking at that point in your life, because you may not be.
So do you feel free? Do you feel, is it
absolutely.
Are you still have relapses, or is this plague you anymore?
No, but I can still see those things, but it doesn't bother me anymore. And I think because I've done the stuff that I've done, that has helped me through it.
Never going to forget.
No, you never will. It's never going to be like, oh yeah, whatever. No, it's going to be there, but for me, it's what I do with it. Do I let it, keep me suppressed and depressed and, unmotivated, or do I allow it to push me further in life? So, and I think that's with anything that we do. Right. Like anything that we go through, we could allow it to either hold us back or push us forward, propel us forward.
Right.
So
and I think that's what I was trying to touch on when I couldn't articulate what I was talking about. When I touched on it being a choice, like staying in this frame of mind. Is it a choice, or do we use this, or do sometimes people use this as an excuse not to get ahead or not to
it's
push
possible.
Forward?
It's possible that some people do. But I think everybody's journey is different. That's the hard part. Everybody's journey is different on how they get past it. Some people never do because they've allowed it to overtake their life so much.
Right.
Like they continue to just, dwell in it and let it hurt them. But you have to, there's a saying I had, you have to, can't think of it, let your, wanting to heal be more powerful than the abuse that you've incurred. You know what I mean? So you have to want it more than that abuse that has taken place. And once you get to that point, you'll be okay. It won't be easy. Nothing's easy in life is easy, especially going through something as traumatic as that.
Right.
But you definitely can get through it. You can get through it and get past it and move forward. Right.
Because would you say there's levels to this? Because your experience is very
There's
traumatic
definitely
to me.
levels to it. I mean, there are people probably worse scenarios than I've had.
Right.
But there's definitely levels to it. But abuse is abuse is abuse.
Right.
In whatever shape or form, especially sexual abuse. It's definitely a different kind of beast that you have to deal with.
I look at it as PTSD.
Yes.
That's how I look at it. So it's not, it's just like when somebody come back from war, they gotta like rewrite their whole entire mind of what they saw and what they've been through. So it's a trauma.
It is a trauma.
Right.
Absolutely.
Would you say women that go through abuse as children kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Tolerate abuse now? Like a lot of women in abusive relationships right now as adults.
Somewhat, I think so. I think that's true in some way, shape, or form. There's all kinds of stigma about when you've gone through abuse and who you are and what you will be.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily it's not dead on.
Right.
Everybody has different situations.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's people that say you've been abused, that you're gay or you're
right.
That's not true. It can go either way.
Right.
That doesn't matter. Or you're going to be an abuser. No. It could not be.
Right.
So it just all depends.
Right. So you kind of shape.
I think so.
You shape your destiny, basically.
You
can either let it hinder you, or you can grow from it.
Absolutely. It's going to do one or the other. It's going to do one or the other. Yeah.
It's going to break you or make you strong.
Yep.
Woo. So would you be open to counseling other young women?
Absolutely.
How can they reach you?
You can, good question. You can reach me at my email. It's LAKEISHA, LAKEISHA.Smith81@gmail. I am on Facebook, LAKEISHA Smith. LinkedIn, same thing. I'm actually on Instagram at Unique Visions, which is another
business venture.
Yeah, so it's Unique VIZUNZ.
I have a question.
Visions, yes.
On your documentary.
Yes.
Is that on YouTube?
That is on YouTube.
Yes.
And actually, while I'm here, the PSA is also on YouTube and will also be on my website, www.IamInspiredby.com. Coming soon. Yeah.
So you didn't bring me a shirt?
I did not bring you a shirt.
Okay, just letting people know.
But you can go online, get a shirt as well. Speaking of which, as far as the PSA, the person who actually helped me with that PSA is sitting in the room today as well.
Ooh.
So, Rashad Scott,
you filmed it?
That helped me out with that.
Nice.
Just happened to pop in.
Nice.
So yeah, so we worked together and on that.
How was that for you? Did you have moments where you broke down?
No.
When you were going through that
No.
So you just miss tough cookie, huh?
No,
so wait, the biggest question, was it a more of a healing process for you?
Doing that?
No, actually, to me, it was just more so wanting to
just get it out there,
raise more awareness.
So it was more of helping.
Yeah, it was
definitely
from the heart. And I reaced out to Rashad. I was like, can you help me visualize and bring this to fruition? And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it so that people know that it still exists. And I thought it was at a very pivotal moment, especially when the R. Kelly situation was going on, because like I said, people always, they have their judgment on what they're going to do and whatnot, but it's much deeper than it being R. Kelly.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more than that. It's somebody's lives, that these people's lives are being affected by this day in and day out. Children. That's our future. That is going to affect everybody, whether it's in this community or in this world. The things are going to take effect in a good way or a bad way because this is happening. So we need to be aware of it. We need to start talking about it, and we need to, make people be held accountable for their actions. Absolutely. Because I think, especially in the hood, we always tend to believe that, they're dating somebody younger or older. That's not what it is. Not at all. So we got to start being more, smarter and getting things in our community and making people aware that what's right is right and wrong is wrong. Period.
Definitely. After seeing this definitely will be a discussion in the community. Definitely.
It should be.
You opened up the forum.
It should be. And not just, and this is the last, today is the 29th. I think. Yeah. Or is it 30th?
Today's 29th.
So hopefully this conversation can continue past April, because I think people always just think it's April is child abuse awareness.
This is a whole year round.
But it's a everyday thing. It's an everyday thing that needs to be discussed. So I'm here for it.
And we're here for you. We're here for you right here on the Rundown. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
You just shifted the whole mode in here. We was turned.
Well, we can liven it up. Don't be sad.
We liven it up. Inspired by my girl LAKEISHA Smith. Thank you for stopping by the Rundown.
Thank you.
We gonna turn up. We gonna get happy again.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
DJ Stunt, help us to slow.
Real, give up better. Real, give up big Birkin bag, hold 5-6 figures. Last time I thought we call it figure. Some scammer, real, give up better.